it. Stop. Aren't you glad you closed your eyes?
Oh damn. Ooh, whoa. Wow. Why did I do that? Please help me. Jesus Christ, please help me. Give me cookies? No, no, no. I'm sorry, I can't give you my cookies. You'll have to harass someone else for cookies. Sorry, no, no, no. No, I can't give you my cookies. Oh my lord, this woman is like just sucking it out of me, isn't she? Jeez.
Got a clear view, clear way of getting up. A massive, great big fucking ladder.
Oh god, I fell down. I fell down the ladder. It wouldn't let me get back on the ladder. I'm like, run, 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 and they're like, hoya, hoya,
Okay.
They're like,
I don't know how to reply to any of that.
they're fucking everywhere. I'll give you treatment at the witch's house. Okay. Oh my god, we're carrying him home. Oh, my heart. Guys. Oh. We're carrying him.
Exactly one of those.
Oh yeah, they go like.
What the fuck was that?
That's the sound the dinosaurs make. This is as terrible as the smell of spotted shit take mushrooms. I don't think that's how you meant to say that word, but anyway. Up ahead is the engine room. Okay. Chit chat. Please save any inquiries regarding souvenirs. Shiitake. Shiitake? Did I say? Unless this is not sugar and this is salt. It says salt.
You can taste it. You can't. It doesn't have a smell. Babe. Oh yeah, that's no. Midnight gaming. One of those Chihuahua puppy dogs that has a lot of bark and a lot of bite.
No, there's none of those. Chihuahuas don't have bite. They just bark out the window at things that are much larger than them.
Spike down B. Feeling fed. One down. One enemy remaining. Flawless.
They really just lined up there. Honestly, can someone just like press the clip button? I don't care if you actually name it, but that was pretty funny.
I got you.
Because I liked it. They just like lined up for that. Just sat there and was like, okay. Sound does a cookie make? Nom 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 nom. We can defuse that. What are we doing? Oh wait, no, we're planting. Never mind.
There.
Oh my god. No. Nobody clip it. Don't do it. I should have so gotten that. Why didn't I not get that? Oh, why am I not?
Do you have any other guns?
Yep. I was just trying not to
Did you
use...
just skedaddle them?
I actually did!
No, revive the good one first. Yeah, so revive Connor.
Like, shove it in my face like this?
Yeah. Close your eyes. Throw it. Stop. Aren't you glad you closed your eyes?
Oh damn. Ooh, whoa. Wow. Wow. Why did I do that? Please help me. Jesus Christ, please help me. Give me cookies? No, no, no. I'm sorry, I can't give you my cookies. You'll have to harass someone else for cookies. Sorry, no, no, no. No, I can't give you my cookies. Oh my lord, this woman is like just sucking it out of me. Hello. Oh. Sorry. Tell me I don't stream anymore. That's stream. I don't even know where my microphone is. Hang on, where's the chat gone? I've lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. I found it. Hello. Hello, Paris. I do love you. I do love you. Honestly, please blame the ADHD, please. I'll tell you what happened. Okay, so took the kids to school, and then I'm also gonna put music on because I have music. Yeah, I cut it. Okay. I can't find where my music goes. Acting like that. Why can't I hear myself? Ah! What is happening? How did I do that? Ah! I don't know how to put... How do I put sound in? I've lost how to do that. Oh, I think that audio... Oops. I think that audio is meant for when I do the Xbox. Okay. Now I've got music going. So ADHD. I decided to make a new VTuber so that when I don't feel like being live, I have a person. So then today, now I'm gonna make channel point redeems for the VTuber specifically. That's what I'm gonna be doing today. Back to my story. So I took the kids to school. I stopped by the old school and dropped some clothes off. Spoke to the guardian, the other children's for a little bit. They were there. Dropped the uniforms off to there. And then I was like, do I get breakfast? I decided no because I'm not really that hungry. So didn't get breakfast. Came home. As I got home, gaming went live. It came up with my little notification. So I was like, oh, I'll quickly say hi. I used my Prime to redeem, to sub gaming because I can't sub to you because you're not affiliate yet. So I just said hello. And then I got out of the car. Then I came inside and seeing gaming live was like, oh, I want to do my channel point redeems. So then I sat down at the computer and set up stream. And that's how I got here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm like this, okay? I'm sorry. I genuinely am sorry. It wasn't even like that EL's important, okay? It's just that gaming's like notification came up on my bar as I got out of was getting out of the car. Like okay, my brain legitimately, it's just if something is there in front of me, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I don't have an unopened text from you. Do I? Oh no, I think that disappeared when you called me. So I didn't have an open text from you. It either disappeared when you called me or like I like opened it as like you were calling me or something to reply and then I answered your phone call anyway. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I don't go out of my way, okay? I do love you. I promise. Anyway, how are you doing, Rainy? Are you doing good? And yes, I am early, because for once I'm able to actually stream at this time when I never normally can. Also, streamer bots changed how they do things, and I don't like it. How do I edit anything? Send help. You know, your place is right next to me. I love you. I really do. How do I even make a new command? There's no button. Oh, add. Oh, right click, add. Okay, I see. What even is this? Why is there white circles? What are the white circles? What does that even mean? I also thought that we could, do little spirit Xy things while we... Also, why are we listening to Screamo? What the heck is happening? I don't even know what I need to do for my spirit deck, though, to be honest. Oh, they come with circles for me. Now you're digging yourself a hole. I have a spirit that likes boba tea. This is the one I couldn't work out how to get. Great pick me up for when my energy gets low from typing all day. So do I do like, oh my gosh, how did I get to decor? I didn't want decor. Typing? Forgot how to do this game. There we go, I've got, it's searching for one. It's searching. I think it's the one. The one I'm looking for is this one. It says, I heard of a spirit that loves boba tea. It's a great pick-me-up when my energy gets low from typing all day. I think it's what I'm already doing. In the bay window typing in the evening. Hello, Crusader. How you doing? How are you doing? I still doing at the current. I just go by the book. I claim that. I go by the book. I'm a by the book person. Oh, I'm on the wrong gaming. Whoops, sorry, there's no me. Like, whoop! That'd be true. No! The tism. Doing alright at work. I'm like a man. How goes things? Things are good. Things are good. We're chilling. We're trotting along. We're having a good time. Other than the fact that I ADHD'd and forgot that Paris existed for a little bit, but... I'm gonna make, oh, what was I doing? I'm gonna make some redeems for my VTuber. I was not hating him. I hate you. I'm gonna make channel point redemption specifically for my VTuber, and then I'm gonna have like a little command where I can change to the redeem that for this one. Throws Cookie. I can't throw you at me. There is no Sparky 3D character. How much are you working, Crusader? I've been working very hard lately too, actually. This is the first time I've even been able to stream in like donkey years, to be honest. VTuber. Yeah, you can, but I don't really know how to make them. VTuber redeem. I might need to be super. Maybe is I feel like I have to. allowed. Does that mean that no one else is going to be able to use it? The watch streak? Yes, they updated that. 20 hours a week, but I move hundreds of packages a day? Oh my goodness, I could never. I'm glad it's not me. How'd it go? Okay, I think that's just gonna be me allowed to use it. Fine. What? Why is that? No, don't cheat, Parrot. That's naughty. Why you do that? What did you did it twice. Oh, was the first one the other one that I was, oh, that one I did for, to show gaming how to do it. How do I get rid of it? How do I get rid of it? I don't know how to do anything! They've updated StreamerBot, and I want it to go back to how it was, because I don't even know how to use this thing. This one. Delete. Yes. And then delete here. I'll just give around points back, because that was irrelevant. Yeah, you did the other one. It's okay, it's okay. You're fine. I just didn't realize. Kick it. I need to kick it. How the little ones, I've seen them keeping you busy. Yes, they have been keeping me very busy. Very stressful few weeks, to be honest, but hopefully we're on the up and up now. And that things just keep. You get so mad at me. I don't mean to. That's Crusader. Crusader's like lucky with the things. What am I doing? Oh yeah, VTuber redeem. I know what I'm doing. I was just so confused. I thought that it let you do 2 for some reason. I was just mad in general, not mad at you. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And help, please. Add one here, yes. I need help, honestly. Not always lucky. Figure out how to make a monster time hat for your VTuber. I don't know how. I guess it would have to be a different skin. To be honest, I reckon that's have to do it. I'm just gonna honestly. I think I should just shut up. How do I even do? I don't know how to do any of this anymore. Bitch, I think. But Lil. Oh, you're watching a YouTube video. Okay. Redecorate for Halloween. You're cleaning? Okie dokie. We'll catch up soon. Good luck with your cleaning and your workout. I feel like cleaning's its own workout. Not alone. Oh my god. Alright, I'm just gonna sit here confused, just fudge of what I'm even doing, to be honest, because I wanna the trigger. Command. Command triggered. I get it. Man, aha! I've got it! Woo! Okay. I don't want to make a Halloween. Six. Is that what I'm... What? I wonder if channel point redeems can be like put in. You just have to turn them on and off. Okay, wild. Oh, my love. This. I don't know what that one is. Must have... I need to double check what is actually still in there. I'm confused. There's so many that aren't actually in there anymore. Can I not sort? Oh my god, I want to sort. What's the point of having it if you can't? Oh, these are groups. Ooh, okay. How do you put them in a group? I put you in a group? Oh, here, okay. Okay. So, I see now. Okay. Okay. What is head pat now? I think head pat pie was when we used to have the VTuber. But we'll probably just remake, to be honest. I know we have a head pat. Where's the head pat? Hello? Do we not have a head pat? I'm so confused. Yeah, we do a pat cookie. There we go. Ah. Ah, send help. Yes, delete. Delete. Okay, thank you for looking. Trying to get rid of all the ones that we just don't have anymore. Kind of confusing, to be honest. God, okay. That's still my say. Oh, I love you. Ain't that the worst thing I've ever heard? Ooh, baby, your body is blue. Okay, so oh, I'm just gonna put them in two folders, I think, because otherwise I'm not having any idea what's going on. But did we get a spirit already? Oh my goodness. I forgot we had the pancakes as our spirit. Ah, look at them! The little boba ball fishes. Hello! Hello! You. Hey! What's that smell on the afternoon breeze? Oh, digital. Oh, that one doesn't give you much, like, information, does it? That was the afternoon. There we go. Okay. What else we got? Then we'll make another one that's called... reading. They're ones that I would need to do. I've got so many things that don't exist anymore. Oh yeah, Boom's not. I don't know if we'll redo Boom, to be honest. I think it's going to be a bit much. I think I'm just going to delete it. It was a cool redeem, but I don't really want to do all that effort to place it back in again, to be honest. Alphabet letters. And oh, Boop is an OBS. God. That one. That's so many actually. So many. See if I can show you them. Away. Here we go. There it is. There's so many redeems we have. I'm just gonna. There's a lot of channel point redeems that we've either had in the past, redone. That one is a cookie redeem. There's so many, but the fishing ones, we've had 2 of those. So it's a game as well, actually. 2 guide the raids. Oh, look, it used to be 15. Look at that, guys. You can see the difference. It used to be 15,000 and it's now only 5,000. Cookie's so kind like that. You redeem. No, my duckies applicable anymore. IRL word ban we don't do anymore. Did you have a jail time one? That was also a old VTuber one. We'll just keep that. Because that was a VTuber one. Kirby! No, that one I'm more either. Thanks, Serrybot. Oh, Love Bomb was also one that was a VTP. That's a Twitch one. That was another VTP one, which we can still do. We can do the Dizzy if we want to do it again. Bring it up, you can still do the spin. They also added a couple of other ones too. So when I stop spinning. Woo! They also made Big Head. So you can blow your head up. There's a fire one. I can't do the freeze because at the moment freeze is broken. So I'm not gonna touch that right now. Schmelee. Woo. Yeet. Flies your way. And bonk. I think they're the new ones. Yeah. Most of the other ones I think were already there. Abduction came towards the end of the last time we used it. Pretty much brings aliens in to come and abduct you. Bye! So some of them we can redo because when you go in to do the rewards on VTuber Plus, you just enter the Twitch channel point redeem that you need, which means that we don't have to have necessarily more than one sub. Bye bye. This is games. It ain't that's right, no ult's also one that's not there anymore. I noticed as well, yeah, you can't sort by like any of the things, which is kind of odd. I don't know why they would even have the option if you can't do it. That cookie. Okay, that's that one. Yes, I have that off obviously because at the moment most of the redeems will be off soon once I go through and sort this out. Oh, that's true. Perm VIP used to be 250,000. Easy, that's a lot. You're gone. That I can't take no more. I do not have rename change my duck anymore. Second Twitch chat. Games. Yes. Okay, so Slime Time again was another VTP. Sniper only. It isn't clickable anymore. Check. Yeah, no. The only ones we have is choose my role or choose my hero. In your game for two. Alerts is another one we're gonna make. I wonder if you can just drag them. No, you can't. Oh, you can right click though. Sound alerts. Sound alerts. I wonder if you can. Ooh, you can. Aha! Oh no. It only does one. That was exciting and then it didn't work. Now this one. Old BTP. Test ones. Well. Time warp, another old VTP. Oh, treat cookie was another VTP as well. We probably won't be able to do it again, but that's okay. Chat. And then yeet. I think that was also a VTP. There we go, we sorted them all. Huzzah! Holy moly. A lot. So I do know you can only have 50 redeems, but I don't know how many we actually have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Ooh, very borderline. Okay. A very, very borderline. And I don't believe it's a 50 active. I think it's 50 in total. How many channel point red? Yeah, up to 50, both inactive and active. Okay. Hmm? I wonder if there's any, like, we can kind of, I guess, call. I guess choose my role and choose my hero are probably ones we could call because I don't feel like people really use those ones because, one, we don't really play the games they're applicable for very much. Also, but I do want, like, I want to ask people's opinions as well before I completely delete something. We could do a little poll. Do you use slash want choose? Oops. Who's choose my role slash choose my hero for games like Overwatch? Yes. Keep the channel point redeem as is. No. But make an alternate system for the as I am interested in play. Okay. Okay. I have made a poll! I have made a poll. I'm thinking people won't really use it though. Because, like, I genuinely, I don't think I've seen it used in, like, I don't know, forever, honestly. Like, if I look at my review requests, I don't think they give you any stats in terms of, like, what channel points are used. But, like, literally 0 requests. And I don't think they're ones that auto. Yeah, no, they don't skip. So, I feel like people just don't use them. Honestly. In terms of naming a duck, I wonder if I'm a So I'm wondering the name of duck. If it would be worth everybody gets to name a duck. One duck. And maybe I keep like a dock or something. When people name a duck, like that's it. You only get to name one duck. And then it's like I guess a bit more of a community thing as well. Because it's not like, oh, one person has 10 ducks because over 10 different streams they've named 10 ducks. You've each got your own duck, and that's your duck. I'm wondering. I'll put it to my mod team, see what they think as well. Get rid of name a ducky. And any follower can name a duck. One duck. And I write it in a Word doc or something. So I know who has named a duck. And then it's more special because that's your duck instead of one person having 10 ducks because they've been to 10 streams. Could also maybe. Alright. I've written my idea in the stuff chat. We will see how we go. I'm just trying to see where we can cut out. I do think that is a nice idea, so I'm gonna just for now, I'm just gonna screenshot them. I'm gonna delete them for now so that they're out of the way. They're not necessary for right now anyway, so. Then we can always add back in if it doesn't seem like a good idea. Because also I have to kind of keep a few extras because for things like 2 Point Museum that has Twitch integration, Cult of the Lamb that has Twitch integration, if they have channel point redemptions, they count towards your 50. So you have to kind of have a little bit of extra space. In case. Yeah. Where's sound alerts? I'm gonna go to the sound because I think you can make some. Tell me, do you wanna go? Thanks, Sarybot. This is the greatest show. Calm down. This one can't stop us now. There's nothing over you. This is the greatest show. Okay, you can make the ones that are all 4 bits, 0 bit. I want to see how hard it is to use sound alerts that aren't on the channel point redeems on the phone. Where's my Twitch stream? The sun can't stop us now. I'm gonna turn my sound all the way down because I don't want to hear myself. Where's my Twitch? Twitch. Everything you ever want. It's everything you ever need. And it's here right in front of you. God, I love this movie. Everyone, it's everything you ever need. Okay, yeah, you just press this little purple thing. Okay, yeah, and then you just click the one you want. Okay. So, this is the greatest show. Okay. So Timmy is interested in an alternate system for the choose my role, choose my hero. Hey, this is taking over you. This is the greatest show. You won't come down. Okay, so what have we got? We've got Raw. We've got Ooh La La. I'm a Gameaholic. In Big Trouble. GG. Applause. So I feel like the ones that are my sound alert, so me, from my stream, so like Ooh La La, I'm a Gameaholic, Big Trouble, Raw, should be, should definitely be channel point ones. And how you doing? Maybe ones like Batman, I'm in danger. I'm in danger should probably stay. I feel like a lot of people like to use danger. Also thinking some of the sound alerts could maybe bit alerts but free, such as like flaws. That's a nice easy change too. It doesn't take too much effort. And then again, that will free up space. Please God, no needs to stay. I'm sorry. I know so many of you like to use it. That's why it's going to stay for 1. And also for 2, because it's so long and so loud. So it has to stay where it is. I'm saying to Mr. Right, leave without a fight. Gotta make a move somehow. Obviously, most of the time, we're gonna try and make capitals monster time a outfit change for Cuba. A little bit more. I see that you can resist me. Really, would you realistically? I'll take a. And on the spotlight, kissing on your bedroom floor. 8-bit's another one. I can't even remember what it does, to be honest with you. I think it only changes. Yeah, no, it doesn't even do anything on this screen. Let's change the other one quickly. Oops. Mm. Yeah, I don't even, honestly, I don't even know what 8-bit does. Let me see. Action. Where's 8-bit? Okay, yeah, so it's literally just the camera. It was the whole screen, which I've never really been able to work exactly how you do that, and it could be better. And I don't feel like people really use it. I do know there is a glitch 8-bit kind of thing for VTuber. Like, pixelates it. So we could. What I'm thinking, put it to a poll. Considering removing or changing the redeem 8-bit. Apparently, it just causes my camera blur. Keep, keep it for both and arrow is 1k point. How long does it go for as well? I should probably put how long it goes for. I don't even know how much that is. What's 20? Is that 20 seconds? Yeah, okay. Keep it for both and IRL, but make it cheaper. How much would it realistically? I reckon it could be probably around the same as a slap cookie, I feel like. It's quite short, really. For the month. The time is, maybe say we're 600. Points. Press 3. Delete it altogether. I don't feel I would. It's not blur, it's pixelate. Considering removing or changing the redeem 8-bit. Currently, you just use my camera to pixelate for seconds. Keep it for both VTuber and IRL as it is, 1,000 points. Keep it for both VTuber and IRL, but make it cheaper. We'll say 5 to 600 points. Later altogether, I don't feel I would use it. Sorry, guys, I'm making you work hard today, but I really want everybody to have a say in how the channel goes because that's how I feel. For us, things work best is yeah, having opinions in how things go. All right, let me un 8-bit myself. All right, what else have we got? I have asked about the simp mode for those that I know have quite a few points. If it's something they will realistically use, or if we should get rid of it. Again, another thing that I don't really feel like it's used very much. Guide the raid redeem is currently, what is it, 5k point? Oh, that's a lot of points. Do I reduce it or get rid of it? Reduce it. I don't know if we'll actually really use the. We could always, like, have a. I don't know. I feel like I don't really like particularly rating people that I don't have any idea about, because you just never know. Like, you don't know what sort of friends another person will have, if they will align with your values, and all those sorts of things. I would hope that they would. But you just don't know. And I don't know whether I would feel comfortable doing that, to be honest. I've turned it off for now. What else we got going on that we might be able to bonk? We can reuse. For cookie. That hat can be reused. Reusable. Wait. Is Pat Cookie. Trying to have a look at what they have again, because I don't know. I think that we could use Slap Cookie, even. I have to look at what throwables there are. It hits this thing. I do know that somebody has a throwable that's a thong. And I mean flip flop for Americans. So I could have a hit with that. Boop. Again, I don't know if they'd really be reusable for that, unfortunately. Hydrate, we can actually do something interesting with that, because they have a redeem that's like flash. So flash effect. That was go ahead and I wonder if there's any cookie throwables. Where's my throwables tabs? Yep. Is there an untextured version of this? Bugger. This person does both textured and untextured throwables. Untextured ones they sell free. What else we got? Oh, this one's cute. Oh, that's $3 is not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Holiday one? That looks like a cookie. Ooh. It is. Oh, there's a cookie tree. Chocolate chip cookie. Okay. High option. I don't know what it means when it says untextured though. I don't know if that just means they're more flat. It's so funny, like trying to Google things because obviously in different places, cookies slash biscuits are different things. So he's actually really cute. Alice. Very cute. It has lots of different ones, to be honest. Lots of different. I feel like when I first got VTP, a lot of people gave their resources for free, and then as it's kind of got bigger, they don't do that anymore, which is totally fine. It definitely took time um, to make the things. It's just interesting, I guess, to see. Well, the person who made the bit one still have theirs. Ooh. He was special. Oh, and that's the jail one. Hey, hey. Fails. He didn't what I thought. No, he was open up the door. I was special. He was looking for. Uh 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 uh. Oh, someone did the Eiffel Tower. That's so cool. Na, 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 na. Oh wow, I saw Splatoon 3 one. That's really cool. Ooh. Sorry, there was one that said ooh. Okay, that's hot. Cool Christmas gift boxes. Why is it so cold today? Send help. Ooh. Might have some cookies in that. Growing up. What I'm thinking is when people get their daily cookies, I could have it throw cookies at me. That's is what I'm thinking. Have a carrot thrown at me. It's never throwing. Oops, throwing up, not throwing up. That must have living like that. I don't know why it sounds like it's never throwing. I don't know why. No. Oh, Evie. A cake, toilet paper. Um. Okay, sorry. I got so distracted by what I was doing. I was too busy like shopping all the little free bits and pieces, guys. Okay. Look, the spirit decks. Oh my goodness! It's a candle axolotl. A waxolotl. Oh, goat. My vinyl player's been acting up lately, skipping beats whenever I'm nearby. They're one that's like Right. Oh, we got some spiritographer rank. Oh, we can. I didn't even know you could edit like the fireplace and stuff. So cool. Why is it all Christmassy? You can make that whatever color you want. Interesting. I want it red. Oh, in your chair, yeah. Rubble! There's a donut! Oh my goodness. Yes. I will sit in a donut. Thank you. Ooh. I didn't even know you could edit all this, actually. I'd never even looked at it. Ooh. Why is there Christmas stuff already, guys? Help. My goodness, there's so many options. Side table as well? Ooh. That one, actually. Ooh, this. That's me. Panda! A hedgehog! Among Us button! Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. So cute. Ghost, actually. And kitty. Was it other places? Oh, like the bay window. Look, you can edit the cat. Yeah. Oh, I don't want... I just want black in general, thanks. I did coffee. Oh, purple. A side table? I've already got a black side table. Perfect. I want another cat the same. Or black cat this time. Black cat. Oh my god, I can edit the bed as well. Oh! I can do some edit. Yes, I like that one. Bed sheet. I'm gonna lamp. I have another cat. I could have cats everywhere. Ooh, I could have a rainbow. I love the inclusivity of the wheelchair, by the way. Ah, so many options. Oh, that's Christmassy. No, I don't want Christmas. No, Christmas. Urgh. Whee! Hey, cat. I don't want a book. I want more kitty cats. Thank you. I have other kitty cat on the same side. Ah, thank you. Ah, ah. And oh, you yourself. You love the reason love yourself. Looks like tear it all down. No, 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 no. Whoa, winter color! Yeah! Kitchen. Oh, maybe you'll be happy with someone else. Maybe love is the reason you can love yourself. Not until it goes down. Down, 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 down. Jack! Jack everything! You have you someone else. I'm making it look nice. Yes, 100%. We want a microwave. Oh, did I not pay for it? Whoops. Pay for it! Hooray! And a coffee machine, for sure. Or more of a kettle, to be honest. I don't think I'm good enough for an actual coffee. Or a rice cooker. Rice cooker, great. Can't cook rice. They fine. And then we'll get a coffee machine as well. Oh, another item. Hmm. Ooh, cakes. It's a dark place in here, chat. And I'm not sorry about it. Ooh, I like this. Ooh. Yes. Table. Pizza. Coffee. Oh, another item. Oh, okay. Toaster. Is that everything? Is everything? Woo! Why is the fireplace not able to be like... Oh, it is. There we go. I was saying, I didn't see it. Alright, what was I doing? By decorating, I didn't even realize I could do that. I kind of want to change my wardrobe too, actually. See myself... Oh, this is the face. Huh? The other way around. Am I? Give me your hand, darling. Can you feel my heart beating? Do you understand? Do you feel the same? Am I only dreaming? Oh, bless me, sorry. My foot's gone to sleep. Why? Send help, please. An eternal flame. Ooh. Cute hat. I like it. Ease the pain. Is this feeling? The cute shades, I like it. Oh, my foot's asleep. And help. Ooh. Dark with the rainbow. Ease the pain. This feeling. Oh my god, I have the knee-high socks on. I forgot. Oh, why did not save? I didn't buy them. Oh my god, I'm running out of money. Guys, I'm running out of money. Your hand, darling. Do you feel my beat? Do you understand? Do you feel the same? Am I only dreaming? Is this an eternal flame? Oh, that one's cute. I forgot about some of the ones I have. I have Among Us for some reason. I don't know why. I don't even know which one I want to use. They're all so cute. See? We'll go these ones. What colors? Oh, they come in so many colors. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm almost out of money. Oh no! Henson, help! It's okay, we're almost done. Here we go. That's it. There's nothing else. Oh, I don't want to leave. Okay, now I'm for real gonna work on stuff. Okay. What was I even doing? Does anybody know? I don't. Man, I need help. Please. Okay. Daily. Oh, Dale. Daily cookies. Rose cookies. It's over. Um. What else could I maybe reuse? Up into my arms. Oh, Georgia, not least till I have you. Maybe a bit. But it depends on what people end up seeing. Another one I'm not really sure if we'll use is Perm VIP. I don't know if I can add pics. I can't. Oops, no, no, forward. My brain is going like 7,000 miles an hour. And I haven't done anything. I mean, I've written some polls. Something, right, guys? Please. Drove out to see Las Vegas. Another one is the add a command. Honestly, the top 4. Like, I'm not really sure about them. I've never seen anybody use them, except for when I did my final stream before I had a massive break. I feel like we give out commands for, like, charity streams and stuff. I've just realized my fan is on, and that's probably why I'm so damn cold. Actually send help. Please. I ruined my life. It's all a lie. Okay. For now, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, apparently 35 active and inactive. And can have 50. I'm really sorry to those moderators, even though I don't know if Paris might still be listening. And Crusader. I am sorry because you guys are all getting all these notifications in the chat section. Because my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour, and you guys are going to get the effects of that. But at least I, give out the options to people. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I can have 50, and I have 35. So we can definitely add some new buds. New. Or plus. I'm just trying to think of what I have seen on their program. Those characters in like a big balloon. I definitely want to bring the aliens back, I think. Maybe abduction. Alien. Come take me away. I think what else. Like, definitely like throwing things. Throw things. Uh, time. Definitely, I feel like the goo one's pretty good. Like, and pick color. So you have green slime, you can have purple slime, you can have whatever color slime you want. about the rainbow as well. We don't have the Dance Monkey redeem anymore. What happened to the Dance Monkey redeem? Huh. When did we lose that? Did we bring back Dance Monkey? I don't know what happened. Interesting. Bring back Dance Monkey for both VTP and IRL? Question mark. Dance Monkey was so good. So for those of you who don't know, because obviously I don't know when that got taken out. Dance Monkey was obviously the Dance Monkey song. Dance Monkey, Dance Monkey, Dance Monkey, oh, oh. And both for when I had IRL and VTV, either my character would go rainbow, or my camera would go rainbow, and like I'd dance and it played the song like a snippet of the song. I don't remember getting rid of that. Very confused. But I guess yeah, that happened. Anyway, I guess. Open tonight. See red. Red. I'm trying to think of what we've had before that we might be able to bring back. And this has got some on it. Um, I don't know if I can't remember what people liked, whether like Dale was a good one or not. Time Warp just made everything like black and white. I believe I like kind of used two, so I used the shake, or I mean the wave, and then I made it grayscale. And whoa, it's way back in time. But I don't know if that's really one that people would want again. I wonder what. I had launch this chat actually. Law's a good idea. Oh, can't spell, guys. Wish on a passing star. In his arms, yeah. All right, I've added law to the chat. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't do the food one. I know for a while they did have like, yeah, they did have it so that you could food on go around your mouth, but I think they got rid of that. Just a little bit late. But the time enough. Day she this. See that it would like this. What's with the glasses? What's that one? I wonder what the glasses thing is in that mode. Good. It's a different go. No, no. Babe. No, no. Let me see what I'm turn 8-bit back on temporarily. I want to see what's 8-bit. Add. Okay, so if I go I don't know, it doesn't do anything. I wonder if you meant to like put them. What game was it you were saying? Ale and Tail Tavern. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. I'm thinking you might need to put your own things into that. I want to see if they. I wonder if you're meant to be able to just. But whatever. I don't know. I don't mind. Um. Sorry, I'm just trying to work this out because I don't know how. I wonder what this does. Maybe. I can see. It could be a good idea. You don't have anything going tonight? You scared. I feel like I'm missing files or something with BTP. Might just like do a check file thing. Not in a beta or anything, am I? No. Integrity. Just because I don't, yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's missing something. Viewing integrity of files. This is forever for me. When you find the one, you like undone. Taking on. This is forever for me. Watch that again. Okay. Let's try. Yep. Test it. See if it doesn't. No, okay, definitely doesn't do anything. Maybe I should try a different redeem. I don't know if the dashes work. Um. Aha! Okay, it doesn't like the it doesn't like the dash in 8-bit. Okay. I wonder if I just call it 8-bit if it will see it. No? Again? Okay. Spoiler alert, guys, we cannot do 8-bit with the dash. The VTP, it does not see it. Let me just change the. Oh, wait, it's not. It's just 8-bit. Okay. I also need to move where the things are in my body because I have not. Um, changed anything. Whoa! Sorry guys, I made it very close to my face. Okay. Okay, glider size mouth doesn't matter. Head does though. Head pat's pretty perfect. I need to pull it forward. Ooh. Make it a bit smaller. That's pretty good. Oh yeah. I like it. We can make them a little smaller. There we go. Why you know work? Fixed it, didn't I? I understand. Does it not like the 8, the number? It doesn't like numbers. That's a bit wild. Why is it not? Yeah, that's exactly what the redemption is called. Saved it. Hmm. Yeah, okay, I don't know that. Okay. Oh well. That's fine. So if you go plate, bullet. Alright, now let's try this one. Okay, why is none of my commands working? No, they're not. Work. I don't even know how to tell if it's actually connected. Restart it, I guess. I don't even know how to like see if these things are actually working at all. I guess go 8 again. I don't know what to do. I don't know why none of it's working. Is it just because it's got an 8 in it? Like, I don't understand. Um, I don't even know what to do. I don't. Never change character. My UI gone now. Try a different character and see if it will work. Why is nothing working? I don't understand. Um, What? It just doesn't like the one called Bit. I change it to high. Why does it just not like that redeem? Like, is that redeem broken? Okay. Okay, you can't have a skip the rewards queue. I feel like you used to be able to, but maybe now you can't. For whatever reason. That makes oh my god. I felt like I was gonna explode, honestly. I don't know how to fix it. I feel like an absolute dick trying to like redeem over it. Okay, at least now we know what the problem was. Um, so maybe if I did the deal with it, maybe not do it. Okay. Does that mean head pats work too? I feel like an absolute idiot, I swear. Where's the head pat even anyway? Head pat. Oh my god. Please, someone help me. Please, somebody help me. I like actually feel like an idiot. All right. I think that you can add different hands. Head pat. Just have to see what style it to be. Yeah. Um, head pat. Right? I need to go to a gift PNG. I just lay here, go to item. How do you do head back? Oh, okay. All right. Let's maybe say that. Okay. Oh, all right. Apparently you can do a sound as well. You put it in the same file. Sound. Uh. My gosh, my Google Chrome is not coping because I've got too many tabs up. And help. And just forget the world. Get what we're told. When we get too old. Garden that's bursting into life. All that I am. All that I ever was. I did it! Okay. What else have we? Well, could do yeet, but I feel like it doesn't really. Oops. Oops. Are we still? Hold on. I'm not turn that off. How it is now. Like if you had the full body, you'd be able to like see it. It's not really yeeting. I feel like yeeting's like. Pshoo! I don't feel like that's what that is. And we can definitely redo Love Bomb. Oops. That spell. I feel like Love Bomb could replace the what's the redeem now? And help. It's gone. The simp mode? So what we could do is have it like it has an enter information, and so it throws hearts or whatever at me, and then also you can type something and get work out how to do TTS to say it out loud as well. That could be cool. I think that would be a good alternative. I know how much you guys like to say nice things to me. I love you. Hey, do you need... Oh, we got a spirit. See, I don't even know what's going on. He's a wrinkle. He's so cute. My goodness. A hand stereo. Yote. A mysterious glitch has been showing up in every game I play. I can't find info on any online message boards about it. Well, I'm already gaming, so boom. How about them apples? Yeah. I have heard there's something about the meshes, but I don't really know what it is or how it works. It says mesh. I wonder if that... See if there's anything in the Discord about it. Could be something that we could do with the hat. Okay. I'm just gonna call this test. I want to see what this does. Oh! Oh, guys! My hair's gone! Oh! Help! Wait, does that mean it's his body and stuff? Can we make it so I've got no body? Can we make me headless? Oh my god! want to do it. I want to do it. Green marker, because that's great. Bitty party. Oh, that's so funny. There's one that says face. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh my gosh. You ready for this? Okay. I'm not gonna lie, that's great. That's so great. I wonder if there's a way for me to export it, so you guys can like take my glasses off and stuff. Where is Steam? I can look at the Array Studio. I don't really know how all this works, but we'll see. I can't believe you can delete the face. Oh, I got the spirit already? Oh my goodness. Ah! Oh my god, no! Stop! Okay, changing. You are now my companion, sir. Where are you? Hello. Oh my god, you're so cute. Oh, look at that little like. Oh, stop. Actually, stop. Stop. That is so good. Oh, he's so cute. Oh my goodness. As I start my day in quiet meditation, sometimes I can sense another presence eyeing me curiously. Okay. So in the morning then, how to do meditation, relaxing. Maybe. No. Meditation. Here we go. Oh my god, he's doing it with me, chat. Oh guys, you can't see it. Hang on. Wait, where's me OBS? Guys, he's doing it with me. Yo. All right. See if we can export as VRM. See what we can do in terms of the meshes. We can export these eye glasses. Oh, okay, so okay, it comes as part of the body. You need to use an external program like Blender. No, I don't want them as. Hmm. I don't know how. I've had this. When you go to export it, there is a button that says not to export invisible. Delete transparent meshes. Mm. You're not better than me. Because you feel the whole is see. What do you feel when you look in the mirror? Are you proud? How do you sleep while the rest of us cry? How do you dream when mother has no chance to say goodbye? Your head held high, and you even look me in the eye. Oh wow, okay, this really exported it out. Holy. I only did that though, it didn't do. Okay. No child is left behind. When I'm dumb and when I'm blind, you pay the price. God is right away. Hmm. I'm really not sure how to do the mesh thing, to be honest. Mm. Hmm. Video. Um, Bubble? I don't know if that's a word, but sure. Yeah. Put a picture of me character to yeah, I don't know if there is a way to do it in here. Maybe you have to do it in a different version. I don't even know what VSF is. Obviously. Confusing, guys. Yeah, I just don't know. Export it like that. Yeah, definitely combine image though. I don't know what doing more material like this. I don't know why my face is doing shocked face. I'm not shocked, I promise. Alright. I might finish up once we find the next spirit day. Spirit? And myself some eat for lunch. I have not eaten. I don't even know if this is actually. Oh, it is exporting. It's just taking a minute. I can do. I can come back after. I don't mind. I just don't know what I'm gonna eat or nothing. Oh, very, very confused about this mesh thing. I really want to do it, but I don't know how to do it. Take a lunch break is the job? Oh, yeah, but it's a bit different on stream. I don't understand how to export it with the mesh. I'm gonna try this and see if this makes any difference. But I've asked in the Discord of VTP to ask if anybody knows. Yeah, no. So other people have it, so other people know how to do it. I just don't know how to do it. But other people have like this person has hair twin tails, hair front, hair head 3, hair side, ribbon hair, earrings, hat. And obviously like you can toggle them on and off. Cause like when I did it, I was testing it. So you can toggle like your face off. But my one it only has body, face, and hair. It doesn't have things um broken out like that. And when you go to export it, it doesn't really have any options or anything. I'm wondering if you need a different program to do it, which would be kind of annoying if you do. But I'm thinking you might need to. I don't know if V-Raid Studio would have a Discord or not. But yeah, no one's really like said how they did it. And no one's like said yeah. How do you mark different meshes in Unity so they can be toggled using the menu /command on a single avatar? Yeah, maybe you need Unity, which is gonna be annoying because I literally have no idea how to use Unity. Like I make it up as I go, but I don't really know how to use it. Yeah. I don't know. I struggle very much with Unity. Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot of people use Unity, but I don't know. Do I even have Unity? I think I can install it. Um, does say someone did say that they have it on the website, so maybe see if it does actually say it. Mm. Mm. I don't know. I cannot see it. Oh, that was the stream deck. Okay, that makes yeah. I might have to just play around with Unity, I guess, and try and see if I can work it out. I do not like a Unity though at all. I do not like it. I do not like it one bit. Download the Unity Hub. Why on earth do you need a Unity Hub if you've just got one program? Can't you just have Unity? Why do you need a hub? My character looks so zen in comparison to what I actually look like. Apparently, I already had the installer downloaded, but that's fine. We'll download the installer again to download it. Because why not, right? Unity Hub setup. Because I've had it before, but then I uninstalled because I wasn't using it. Oh. Hello, Rory. Always laying down on the floor. I have to remember that they can't have anything after 9 o'clock tonight. But they're going for surgery tomorrow. So no food after 9 o'clock. Okay, I'm running the hub apparently. Oh, I don't know if I have a Unity account. Do I have a Unity account? Probably. We'll just use Google. I don't care. I forgot that you were just like a really big Stitch on Stream Avatars Paris. I completely forgot. Like tiny little ZiCookiie bot down there is just a tiny little onion, and then you're just like a massive Stitch. Wow, Unity Hub! Woo! You need an active license to use Unity. Okay. Now what am I doing? Install the Unity engine. New project. Full Unity editor. Why did you not just install that when I was... Oh my gosh. Why would it not just install that when I was already, like, doing it? Send help. Back down tonight. At a room, a ruin. Why does the hub need an update? I just installed it. What do you mean it needs an update? Why are programs like this? Honestly. Why? I clicked install. It is installing? It is installing. I has no patience, okay? In a place like this. Don't bring it back down tonight. I have like 700 messages in the Discord, by the way, Paris. If you want to have input on any of it, feel free. Just been rambling, mostly. Baby, please. Why is it taking so long to install it? What is happening? Told me you had a boyfriend that looked like a girlfriend. It just says in progress. I don't even know if it's actually downloading. I don't know what it's doing. Send help. I feel like I'm going crazy, honestly. Like, is it actually not installing? Like, I don't. Every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Single day, every word you say, every night you play, every night you say, I'll be watching you. Can't you see you belong to me? It's actually going to take forever to install. Why? Does it need to, like, do I need to update the hub before it will install that? Like, I don't understand. Is it downloading? Oh, it is downloading. Okay. Oh, it's downloading an editor application at 5 megabytes per second. Super good. See your face. And it's you I can't replace. Long for your embrace. Crying, baby, baby, please. The spirit is very scared to come out. Is it because I caught the other ones really quickly? So this one's like, no. Maybe. It's as slow as this Unity program is at installing, honestly. You guys like my monkey though? He's pretty cute, hey. Oh cute. You can like toggle the oh look, there's news. Yeah, they had the Halloween update come out, but I'm not interested in Halloween or anything else, to be honest. Habits. Oh, I need habits. Oh, a journal. Productivity history. Oh look, the last time I was productive. I should do a to-do list though, for real. Oh my goodness, there's so many things on here. Look at all this. We're not doing that anymore. We'll get rid of that. Should we just make another one? I'm overwhelmed. How do I get rid of this? Get rid of this. Delete it. I want it gone. Yep. Delete it. Add a new list. I'm overwhelmed by that list. No, not Twitka. Twitka. Great. There's my list. Woo! Go me. Okay. I have so many things I want to do, and I'm not doing any of them. It's also really cold. Is anybody else really cold? I'm really cold. Ooh. I'm be watching you. Why on earth in our ideas chat, Paris, does it just say, edit, such a good beam? What does that mean? And why is it there? Like, what does that even mean? I'm waiting for the spirit, but he doesn't want to come out. I'm not a dork, thank you. That hurts my feelings. You're a dork. Just writing edit such a good bean. I'm sure we knew what it meant like 3 months ago, but I don't know what it means now. I can't believe that was the last time we wrote in that ideas chat, by the way, 3 months ago, and now all of a sudden I'm spamming it. I wish I could just lay on the ground like my cat and just, chill. That's what I wish. Also, you added in information when I asked you a question like 6 hours ago. That's so mean. Now who doesn't love who? Fucking lot. My ADHD is really bad right now. You know what? Actually, do you want to really? I need every now and then to just jump, just like dance, just go nuts because I feel like I just get so much nervous energy that builds up in my brain. What? I said. I said to you that there was lots of stuff in the Discord if you wanted to look at it and have an opinion. That I said, and then you just didn't say anything, and then I was sad. But it's fine. What's a rolling in my... Can I be a cat? Then I wouldn't have to do any of this. I could just lay on the ground and look cute. Things that make you sad. You know what? What do you mean you don't know what I said? What you mean? Such a good bean was in reference to Tim's... Oh. Edit. Oh. Chat command. Head pat user. Oh, okay. Because I said to you, like, forever ago, I said, there's lots of information in the Discord if you want to have an opinion on any of it. And then he didn't reply. And that was just made me sad. You don't have to look at the Discord, but you could have just said okay. I'm needy, okay? Also, I feel like I've got stuff stuck in my pants. Why is this spirit not wanting to come out? I feel like I've been like sitting here forever. Also, why is Unity not installed? I want things to work. Can we make things work? But for real, can I just be a cat on the ground? Misery. Nothing is working. Nothing is doing anything, and I'm really sad. Unity's not doing nothing. It's just downloading. The spirit won't come out. I'm just gonna go hide under the desk and cry. I had so many hopes and dreams when I started this stream like 6 hours ago. I don't know how long it's been. Feels like it's been 6 hours. I had hopes and dreams and like I was ready and now it's all gone. Honestly, this is like the reality of ADHD. You like really want to do like so much stuff and you're like super motivated and then you hit one roadblock and you're like done. And yeah. I can't wait much longer. I mean, I could even still do the channel points that I want to do, but I'm waiting for people to tell me like what they think about the channel point redeems that we currently have before I delete any / add new ones. Um. So yeah, and then I can't even look at the meshes because Unity won't download. So. Luna's playing Baldur's Gate 3. Steam told me. I miss Luna. I'm a friend. I don't know what Paris is doing. Actually, probably studying. Definitely should not have me in her ear as she is studying. Very distractory. Oh, Unity wants to do something. Okay. Shh, just mute me. Then don't talk to me anymore. Wait, now it's got to do more installing. Oh my god. Why? I think I'm just gonna go lay on the floor. Yeah. I'm a dip and go lay on the floor. Okay, I'll go get lunch. The spirit's not gonna come out, and my Unity's not gonna do anything. I need you right now. Gaming's live, so we should go say hello to gaming. She is all dressed up for Halloween because she can't stream tomorrow, so she's streaming today, and she was playing Minecraft earlier, and now she's playing Sims. No, I'll come back. I'll stream later if I can get this stuff to work and do what I want to do. Maybe we can call or something. You can try and motivate a little bit because I don't feel like doing anything now. I know, I just don't feel. I don't feel like doing anything now because I can't do any channel points because I'm waiting for people to tell me what like if they like the ones we have now or not, and I can't do any new ones And I need to make space, and um, I can't do the mesh stuff because I need Unity, and now I'm just sad. So yeah. Yeah. But we will go say hello to gaming. Outfit very cute. Got a mustache, a um Monster Energy can, and horns. They're very cute. I like. Bruh. Bruh. I'll give you bruh. I'll give you bruh. Alright. I love you guys. I hope that I'll be able to come back later and stream a bit more when I've eaten, gotten some energy, and have Unity working and stuff. We shall see. For now, I'm going to take you to see gaming. Just leave me alone. Let it go. Yes, ma'am. Hey, where are you going? Bye. Love you. Bye. Bye. Love you. Have a good day. Bye.